Market update here in the 3rd. So, got the move that I was talking about for the most part. I did mention we could potentially come up here and fill the gap at 364, but I've been pretty bearish for the last couple of weeks. And, you know, most people actually thought it was going to bottom around here. Thought this was the bottom here at 351, but I still see that as the end of the 3rd wave, and we're in the current 5th wave down. So this is more than likely the end of the 4th wave right here. And then this is more than likely right now we just completed the 3rd wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, and I think we are working on a 4th wave, and it might actually be complete. Now looking at this could be complete, and that's why futures are down. We might see a 5th wave down here, but then you got to remember that's only the 5th wave of the 3rd wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 3rd wave. So 1, 2, 3, bounce, come down here, 347, 348. So yeah, that's pretty much what I see. And today I was shorting right here. It worked out absolutely perfectly for me because anytime I get this kind of move right here on lower time frames, we had this move down at the open, and then we had a retracement. That's an easy short because I can just short right here and then put a stop above the high. And if I'm right and this ends up being a 3rd wave, then I'm going to make a bunch of money. And that's exactly what happened. I covered my shorts maybe a little bit too early, which is like my #1 trading flaw, I think, is selling too early. But the move worked out pretty much perfectly. We were in a supply or a demand zone here, so we did bounce out of it. But this can be, let me look at it real quick on lower time frames. This is probably, that was probably the 4th wave right there. So unfortunately, last night I was getting kind of tired. I wish this would have actually bounced a little bit more today or tomorrow, but it looks like that might be the 4th wave, and we're going to start the 5th wave down. So I'd be aiming for like 351-ish, maybe a double bottom with this low over here, and then bounce again, and then a 5th wave down, probably 347, 348. And let's go over SPY now. SPY's more important actually right now, in my opinion, just because it is looking like a 3rd wave. And so I was going to make a video about the longer term time frames, that there's a very good chance that we topped out right here, or over at, is that right? July, yeah, right there. It's a very good chance we topped out right here. So if this is 3rd wave down, we're looking for the 200 DMA, which is sitting here at 416. So I would expect SPY to challenge the 200 DMA here as QQQ is going down to 347, 348. And then I would look for a 4th wave bounce. Or it could be, this could be a C wave and we could go to new highs. So it's either going to do something like this, or we're going to bounce and go to new lows. I guess there's also a slight possibility of an ABC move, and then we go to new highs, but I think that's probably less likely now. So look for the 200 DMA over the next couple of days. We are in the 5th wave of the overall 3rd wave, and this should be completing around the same time that QQQ is making 347, 348 from what I see. And here's the part that's going to be interesting. If we get 5 waves, if this ends up not being a C wave, remember invalidation on this move is at 413.61. So we'll know if this is invalidated here soon. But if we get a corrective move right here and then come down here to 400, then that almost certainly means that this is a B wave and it's finished. We hit the 1.61 fib, and that would just mean that we're coming down here for 2024. May 2024, we're headed for 330. This would be wave 1, probably 395, 400. We'd probably bounce, fill this gap at 438, and then you're going to get a move like this. So, yeah, it's not looking, I mean, right now it's hard to say. I can't say right now because it still can be a C wave, but I have a suspicion that we could potentially be in a 5-wave move, and we did cross the parallel lines. And so here's my thesis though. If this goes 5 waves and bounces to 438, at the same time, I've been talking about the 332 gap fill for a long time. So if that were to happen and SPY goes 5 waves, I think that QQQ would likely bounce up and make a B wave here, and then come down here to 332 when SPY is going down to 400. And then that could still be a 4th wave for QQQ. And then I'd be looking for a move up here while SPY is coming back up here to 438. So QQQ would probably be like the lead reason why SPY is able to bounce. So that's kind of far out, but I just wanted to throw that in there. Right now, just look for more downside. It looks like futures are down a bunch. And 416 on SPY, 347, 348 on QQQ. Tesla is holding up pretty well. And so I think just based on where QQQ is at, I think that this is probably going to hold up. I don't think it's going to nosedive. It wouldn't make any sense for it to nosedive here. So I think that it probably is just going to be a move up. We're probably going to see this whenever QQQ bounces up here to 260. It looks like this might be a ABC move or a 5-wave move. I don't like this as a impulse move really, but if it ends up being an impulse, you'd be looking for 5 waves, probably up to like, you're probably looking at somewhere around, I don't know, like 270 potentially, or whatever the 1.61 fib of the A wave is. Let's see, 267. So I guess they're going to hold Tesla up. I thought it would fall more right now, but they're probably going to complete this move. And then if QQQ goes down to 332, then I would expect Tesla to fall down here to like the low 200s. So that's Tesla. Just chopping around. Probably not going to do that much over the next couple of days. Maybe it comes down here to the low 240s. I'd be surprised if it falls from here on out, considering how far QQQ has fallen and Tesla's barely down. Microsoft with a weird, kind of a weird fall. The reason I say that is because this B wave made a higher high over this move. This is not an impulse move. So this would have to be a C wave. So I have the same thinking on Microsoft that I do on Tesla, that this was likely, let's see, WX. This is likely right here, the A wave. And we're just making a B wave right now. Could go down all the way up here. Could go all the way down to 308. But I still think it's going to come up all the way up here to 325 at some point. So there's a gap here at 308. And this actually looks like 5 waves is complete, though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get a diagonal. No, we didn't get a diagonal. It's actually a 5-wave move. And then we get an impulse off the lows. So it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see what happens. But This is 5 waves complete in my opinion. So it should be starting a move higher to this area from here. Go down to the 1 minute time frame. Completed a 5-wave move here. So it probably is going to pull back and then probably go higher. But again, the long-term thing here is I still expect this to probably go down here or go up here and then come down here to the 200 DMA, which is sitting at like 296, 295 right now. So maybe by the time it hits it, it'll be around 300. There is a gap fill at 282 though, so you got to watch out for that. Is it possible this turns into a 5-wave move? I don't see why not, because this can be a wave 1, wave 2, and this could be a wave 3 down here at 282. 4th wave, and it could get a 5th wave down here. So Microsoft could potentially be topped out as well. Got to watch out for these moves. But I do think that it's going to at least bounce to 325 over the next month or so. Maybe sooner than that. Because this move right here has to be ABC. That is not an impulse move. It broke the high. So this has to be a C wave. The 1.61 fib is right around that area, 310.71. So it did break demand shortly, but then it's back in demand. It finished in demand. So that was good to see if you're long. So yeah, I expect it to come up here to 325. Amazon. So Amazon is looking like 5-wave move right here, actually. Pretty clear. So this is corrective. This is a 5-wave move. It looks like Amazon will probably be going lower. Unless this is an expanded flat. Let me see. Let me zoom out here. So this was wave A right here. 5 waves. Not sure on Amazon right now. I think that it's more than likely it's going to bounce here soon, but this is 5 waves right here, and there's another gap here at 115. I wouldn't think that it would go down another 7-8% though. So I'm going to lean towards this being an expanded flat that's almost finished. And then we come up here and fill this gap at 130, potentially 135. But I do think that it's more than likely we come down here to 115 now. So that's a very corrective start to a move. If that was going to be a 5th wave higher. So I would look for this to come up here and then come back down here to 115. Apple. So Apple barely down today. Kind of the same structure or kind of same like thinking as Tesla. Barely down. Probably looking to bounce here shortly and fill this gap at 175.81. But again, I still think it's going to go lower. It never filled this gap right here. And if you use a parallel line right here, put it right here, takes you to 164. This also takes you to, well, 162. So right around in that area is where I'm looking for. Fill the gap, 164. So if we get a bounce in QQQ here soon, maybe Apple will fall before then. Maybe it'll come down here. That's only, what is that, like 5%? QQQ's got to go down 2% more. It's possible. So I don't know. This might bounce first and then come down, or it might come down and then bounce whenever QQQ gets a nice bounce. I don't think that we're going to go straight down to 332. So look for 347, 348, and then a bounce. The dollar. Let's look at the dollar. Wow, look at that. I hadn't looked at it all day. This is the 1.23 fib, and it nailed it. Wow, that's crazy. So I've been talking about this expanded flat for a while. Look at that. Nailed the 1.23 fib. I did do some Elliott wave on it a little bit, and that actually was my count. Was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can see here 3, 4, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nails the 1.23 fib, and that's 5 waves. So we're pretty close to bottoming, and honestly, the dollar is the one chart that is bullish for stocks, in my opinion. So I gave you those scenarios on SPY and QQQ where we come down here and we end up crashing in 2024. But the dollar is telling a different story because we just completed what I think we completed this, and the next move is going to be lower to 93. So the dollar is definitely bullish for equities. So even if the dollar comes down a little bit over the next couple of days, it won't matter. These can still come down here and hit their targets. So that makes me think ABC is likely. The dollar is very important. And so yeah, there you have it. VIX. VIX with a nice move, 5 waves. So hard to do technical analysis on the VIX. I don't like doing it on the VIX. But on the daily standard deviations, we're way outside. We're ready for a pullback on that too. So I think that the dollar probably topped out, most likely. If it breaks through this somehow, the next target would be 109.87. So we'll hope that it topped out here. The only other way that I can see it going higher, if it did top out here, is we would have to get a pullback and then another move higher, like that. So that's possible, but I would say it's more than likely. Let's just see how long this lasted. This lasted about 5 months. So this lasted about 8 months. So I would say more than likely the B wave's finished. So yeah, that means that we could see this C wave come down pretty quickly unless we get that pullback and another move higher. This is only a year long. So we could see 6 months from now, we could see new highs. We could be topped out in the stock market in the spring. We could see in the spring, we could see the dollar down at 93. So that could start as well here. It really just comes down to, are we going to get a corrective bounce, or is this the bottom right here? This could be the bottom as well. So that's either the bottom or corrective bounce and go lower on QQQ. This will be the bottom at 347, or it will be only the A wave of an ABC move. Let's look at the daily standard deviations. And you can see here, this is saying buy all day. Buy, buy, buy. When you get outside -2 standard deviations on the daily, you buy, buy, buy. I actually bought more SPY today for my long-term portfolio. So you can see that the reason I did that today, because it is a little bit like catching a falling knife. It's a long-term portfolio, and if this ends up being 5 waves and we go down here to 395, 398, whatever, and we get a corrective bounce, I'm always able to hedge that. I can sell my shares, whatever I want to do. So it's not that big of a deal. So the dollar is actually making it look like we're about to go on a huge move higher. But this could last. There could be some trickling down, like, and just hanging around here for a while, for the next month or two. Anyway, that is it for this video. I didn't do all the tickers. Actually, I didn't do NVIDIA. Let me do NVIDIA real quick. So NVIDIA got a move down here, as it should. And trying to figure out if this is 5 waves or not. It looks pretty ABC-ish to me. Yeah, I think this is an ABC move, and I was thinking that yesterday too. So I would look for a bounce regardless. This looks like ABC, but this is a pretty big move right here. It does go to the 1.61 fib. I would be looking for a bounce in NVIDIA. We do have the gap at 395. This is definitely corrective right here, but this might be corrective too. So you might actually see something like higher right here. If not, then you're at least going to get a pullback either way. But just based on where it's at, so we know this is probably not a 4th wave. It crossed into the 1st wave. If we're trying to go down to 395, this is going to go a little bit too far. The 1.61 fib of this move is sitting at 352. The 200 DMA is at, that's on the weekly, at 327. So I think that it's more than likely that this is actually going to, it could come down a little bit farther over the next couple of days, but I don't think it's going to go to 395 anytime soon. It's probably going to bounce again. They're probably going to wipe out all those puts, and then it will probably come down after that. So this took about a month. So this will probably last into like mid-October. You're probably looking at something like that, and then it will probably come down, in my opinion. So there's a lot of different like indicators that are showing different stuff. I think that I'm leaning towards the 5-wave move, but again, the dollar, that's the only factor that's really saying bullish in equities. The dollar on standard deviation, again, very top of the range. Equities are at the bottom of the range. You got to lean bullish here, but I'm watching to see if SPY makes a 5-wave move. Anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you leaning towards that we already topped out in July? Or do you think we're going to go to new highs into 2024? Right now, I think it can go either way. I don't have a strong opinion either way. But I think I am bearish the rest of the week for the most part. So I'll leave it at that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like the video. And I'll catch you in the next one.